Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we'll be taking my third look through my vintage film and TV tie-in paperbacks and film adaptations. So I do hope you enjoy it. We've already done the first two parts. They've gone down especially well, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy part 3 right now. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so we're starting off with this one, which is the Pulp Fiction screenplay. So it's not an adaptation of the film. This is the screenplay. Now, back when this film came out, along with like Reservoir Dogs and some of the other early stuff that Tarantino wrote, Faber were publishing the Faber script books, and this is one that was just given away as a cover mount. So yeah, it says, look, it lists actually Reservoir Dogs, True Romance, Natural Born Killers, Dusk Till Dawn, and Jackie Brown, and he did one of the stories in 4 rooms. So it's basically like, you know, just as I said, it was a freebie, a cover mount. Looks like it was from Total Film magazine, which was a really great movie mag. So I've got all the Faber screenplays for Tarantino, at least all the early ones. So we'll get to those in due course. Now this is sort of a later Quatermass. Now I know some people are looking for the original Quatermass books. Now they were published by Penguin, and they are actually part of my Penguin book collection. But this is, in effect, sort of ties in with the, I think it's the TV series, isn't it, rather than the movie? Yeah, this is the TV series for Quatermass in the Pit rather than the 60s Hammer film. Now I see this one's got a sticker on the back, 30p. Now there's 3 in this format, the 3 sort of classic Quatermass books. And I think there might even be another one which came out a bit later in the 80s. So it was the 3 classic books, wasn't it? Quatermass Experiment, Quatermass in the Pit. What was the other one? I've probably listed inside, actually. Yeah, just Quatermass Experiment, Quatermass in the Pit. Isn't there something, I think it might just be a TV show, I'm not sure, where it's like the Quatermass Conclusion? Does that ring a bell with anyone? But I've got the 3 original Penguin editions, but they are sort of part of my Penguin run, and I didn't really, that they are tie-ins, but what I'm thinking of doing is going through my vintage Pan and Penguin book collection and pulling out the movie and TV tie-in books in particular, because there's an awful lot of them, particularly on the Pan side. There's probably more Pan tie-ins than Penguin, and we'll do them in like a separate video. There we are. So it's left a little bit of residue, but still better than that awful sort of 30p sticker on the back, which is probably what I paid for it. I have seen these go for sort of silly money, really, like almost like £10 a pop, which seems well over the top to me. This is a great one. I'm very much a fan of Tony Hancock, and this was one of the 2 films that he starred in. The other was The Punch and Judy Man, which I haven't got a tie-in paperback for that one. Neither of the films are that great, in my personal opinion. I prefer the radio series. I don't. Some of the TV shows are okay. It's obviously based on the scripts more than anything, but I think he was, for me, more a radio star than TV. But there you go. So I've got a little run of Red Dwarf. I've got there's just a couple here. The rest of them I think all came out in hardback, so I've got the hardback editions, but there might be some in B format as well. I was very much a big Red Dwarf fan back in the day, and pretty much met all the cast. This is Robert Llewellyn. This one's signed by Crichton himself. Really fun, friendly chap. This is the follow-up that he did, Thin He Was in Filthy, which I believe came out long before Man in the Rubber Mask came out, and it sort of retells his early life. That one's not signed there. I probably got that at a later date. Another fantastic series, one that I really love, The Fall and Rise of Reginald Perrin. Leonard Roster there on the front. This is a trio of books by David Nobbs. All of them were adapted almost word for word from the books into the sitcom TV show for the BBC. This one's got a little 40p inside. If you've never tracked it down, it is unfortunately a little bit dated, as you would expect for something that was made the best part of 50 years ago. However, it's still hilarious. Really good fun. and recommended. Unusual to have a price on the inside front cover, which makes it even more awkward than usual to get rubbed out. Here's the second one, Return of Reggie. Had these quite a long time, so no idea the sort of condition of them. That one's actually really nice, that particular one. And then the last one, which is The Better World. This is the scarcest one. Mine's got a completely faded spine. It should be bright red like that on the spine, but hey ho, one to look out for as a replacement. And this was the sort of the third book and the final book in the series. It's not such a great TV show either. The first two were real classics. This one was almost like, not a cash-in, but it just wasn't as fresh. I think it had run its course through the first two books. Rising Damp, again, Leonard Roster, so they just fall together on the alphabet there. A little bit of sticker mark, which I'll be able to get off. I believe this is the adaptation of the movie, I think, rather than adapting the episodes from the TV show, which I absolutely love. I had the good pleasure of working with Don Warrington from Rising Damp, who was one of the Rigsby's tenants back in the day, back in, when was that? Probably about 15 years ago on a Doctor Who. John Brain, Room at the Top. This is an American tie-in for the British movie. Very, very nice indeed. Not sure how this one made it into my collection. I honestly can't remember, but I've kept it as part of my TV and movie tie-in collection. Nice copy of that as well. Very nice indeed. This is another one which I believe was a cover mount. Yeah, look, it's a Penguin, not for sale. This was free with DVD Review magazine. It's the movie adaptation by Max Allan Collins of Saving Private Ryan, based on the screenplay. Yeah, late 90s. Let's pop them over there. This is quite a valuable and scarce one, The Scars of Dracula. Mine's in quite a worn old condition, but these are pretty hard to get hold of. I'm definitely going to use a nice buffing of the jacket. I've had this a long time, and they just don't really turn up that often though, so one to keep your eyes peeled for. Another, I think, quite scarce one, but I don't know if there's much demand for it. Scrubbers, which is a very early Handmade Films production. Handmade were the film company funded by George Harrison of the Beatles. A lot of familiar names. If you ever watch the film, you'll see so many sort of British character actors and actresses who went on to bigger things, but not often shown on TV. Secret Army. Now I've got 3 Secret Army books here. I think that's all of them. I'm pretty sure this was the first one, Secret Army, which is pretty much the story of the first season of the film. Of the TV show. There's 3 seasons again, and then there was like a follow-up series based on this guy, which was Kessler. So there's that one. I'm not really sure which order they came out with. They're all by John Branson. He was the main sort of bad guy in the show, and he had his own spin-off series. The actor Clifford Rose passed away very recently, like this year, in fact. Lived to a ripe old age. And then we got Secret Army Dossier. And all I can think of is this is after the stories that were after the first book. It says it starts in Easter 1943, so that would probably be about right. Bit of a worn old copy of that one, but I think that's all 3 Secret Army books, and I'm not sure if there was one for Kessler. We didn't have it in the K's, did we? So not really sure. This was another cover mount. This was exclusive to She magazine. God knows how I got all these cover mounts, but it was the original Sex and the City book. Now, I remember being in New York when Sex and the City got big, and in fact they were filming it. This is in 1999, and they were actually filming the series at the time, and I was quite intrigued by what all the fuss was. But my wife quite likes the show, and we did watch the recent revival, in fact, which was missing. There we are. One of the main. It was her, wasn't it? Yeah, she was the one. She didn't come back for it. Samantha, the character was. Unofficial guide to Sex and the City. Another one of those unofficial guides. These are always quite scarce because they weren't official, and they didn't have massive sales on these at 2002. Gives you an idea of how big that show was back then. Here's a sort of a rough sort of tie-in. It's not the Shaft book, but it's a tie-in to it. Goodbye, Mr. Shaft. Really, really nice one. Quite scarce with the black cover in nice condition. Oh no, not really. I haven't got the Shaft tie-in book, but this one sort of goes with it. Shaft related. So 1976. This one. Quite groovy cover on that. Could do with a clean though. I've had that a long time. Another great one, Straw Dogs, a Dustin Hoffman film. Not bad, this one. Although when I watched it a few years ago, it hadn't held up so well. But yeah, that's Suzanne George, Peter Vaughan as well. But yeah, Dustin Hoffman was the star. Not too bad a copy, that one, considering I think it is another one I've had for an awful long time. I think what we'll do, we're going to stop there, and I'm just going to give these a brush off. So let's sort them into a few little smallish piles. Let's do these 3 piles first of all, and we'll brush the bottoms and edges and stuff. Now, I've just noticed, rubbing this, that the top of the spine of the Rebel is just coming away ever so slightly. See that there? So I'm just going to slide a little bit of glue into that spot. So I've got my little micro screwdriver, flat-headed, with some Pritt stick, just enough to slide it in. There we are. Then just going to squish that into the top of the spine, nice and simple. And squeeze it down like so. Lovely. Easy peasy fix, but worth doing. Reggie Perrins. So yeah, I've definitely got more Red Dwarf books, but they were published in B format. So my B format books are actually kept slightly separate from, well, they're at the end of my main run of TV and film ties. So we will go back and we'll do the B formats. They've got some stuff that's like bagged up or sort of protected. I've got some Beatles tie-in stuff as well, which is separate, some signed stuff. And the Whitman hardbacks, Big Little books. Yeah, quite a lot to come, so that's going to be in next week's video, which may end up being the final one for movie and tie-in paperbacks for now, but I will have another one down the line because I've still got to cover the Star Trek and Doctor Who books, and I've also got some hardbacks, of course, so they'll all need doing eventually. I've not actually got around to covering the hardbacks yet on the channel, but they are on their way. And I'm going to try and go through and also get the dust wrappers all protected at the same time. So it's like a separate sort of entity, that. So Shut It, which is a fan's guide to 70s cops on the box. I don't think it's exclusively Sweeney. Yeah, I think it's Sweeney and the Professionals. I think is the main bit of this. Yeah, Sweeney and the Professionals. But I think other series are sort of referenced as well. That's good stuff. I am a huge fan of the Sweeney, and this particular lot encompasses all my Sweeney paperbacks as well, which is pretty cool. Unofficial Simpsons guide, an authorised one. They did, in the end, they've done the best sort of Simpsons illustrated sort of guides you could possibly get nowadays. Very, very Fox, that one, but worth having. That was the first one, and then they did update it as there was more and more coming out. So this is like the expanded version of that Simpsons guide. Once again, a little bit spotty, but not too bad. This is a very old tie-in. Only until recently, this has now become my oldest film sort of tie-in. Battle of the Somme First Phase, and it is by John Buckham, the famous author John Buckham. And it actually ties in, it's like a propaganda movie that ties into the start of the First World War. And quite a nice one, this one. I'm not sure how it came my way, but it was very, very cheap. So I can't really complain. Little fold-out map and that. So quite a rarity, that one. Another one of my all-time favourite series, The Sopranos. Absolutely love this one. Yeah, only up to as far as season 3. I don't think they ever went beyond that. But this is another one of those Virgin unofficial episode guides, which so good. Yeah, they really, really are. This was for a long time my earliest film tie-in. It's to the black and white Harold Lloyd films. So Harold Lloyd was one of those silent film stars alongside people like Charlie Chaplin and Laurel and Hardy, who, although they came a little bit later, who sort of got up to sort of madcap stunts and things like that. And this was one of the feature-length films, Speedy, published as part of the Reader's Library. There's loads in this series, but it is a Paramount picture. There we are. The cover's already protected. You never know it, would you, from the spine? So it really does need the illustrated jacket to sort of show exactly what it's about. A couple of stills from the film as well, which is cool. There he is. But I don't think this was expensive. Yeah, this is very, very reasonable. This entire series is fairly reasonably priced. Reader's Library, it's a British edition of it. Yeah, I don't think they're a lot of money or anything. Quite dusty along the top though, so we'll be careful when we get to doing that one. In fact, I think because we've got two quite old ones there, we'll just give these the brush right now. Quite an old one there, 1914. And I think with this one, we are going to have to go back to the toothbrush, making a little guest appearance, coming out of retirement, to give this one a little bit more of a carefully targeted brush. Like so. Much better. There we are. So a couple of interesting books there. Now we're on to my main Sweeney run. This one they famously spelt the title wrong, so they left out the E, so it should be N-E-Y. On the whole, my Sweeney books are really nice nick, but they do probably, because I've had them so long, they probably will really benefit from having a little once over and a polish if needed. The covers are slightly, they're borderline whether I can actually, well, I can polish them, but it needs to be done with care, shall we say. But I've had lots of copies of these through my hands, and these were by far my best ones. I remember when I was picking these up in the 80s, I actually read them, and they're not bad stories. They are almost like episodes of the show, you know, all self-contained. Sweeney 2 here. Little 25p in the top there. Quite stubborn, in actual fact. Lovely. It's quite a nice one, Reagan and the Manhattan File. Another little 40p in. And these particular like tie-in books, they just don't seem historically to have been printed on the greatest of paper. Young Dennis Waterman there, once again sadly passed away about a month ago from when I'm filming this. Sweeney 3, Regan the Deal of the Century. A nice one that, with its red spine, staying nice and vibrant. Shame it's got a name inside on the back cover there, but apart from that it's alright. Little 30p inside this one. And so the older they are, the less chance they've ever been through my sort of cleaning process. So they really do, you know, benefit from going through them. Reagan and the Lebanese Shipment. Little 20p in the front on this one, but there's a few turned over pages, so we'll get those first of all. There we are. Lovely. Human Pipeline. On the whole, these Sweeney one copies are actually really nice. Can't complain about them at all. Just little signs of age and where they've been in my collection all these years. Another little 40p. Looks like all of these have been picked up on the cheap, but that's not a surprise, because once again these Sweeney books were amongst the earliest things I still collected. Always been into the show. There's 3 hardback annuals as well. And I have done a dedicated Sweeney video of all my Sweeney collectibles on my other channel. You can look that up pretty easily. Had some quite nice stuff, some posters and the annuals, as I said, and some. I got a script from the Sweeney film, some other bits and pieces, signed photos and what have you. The Snout Who Cried Wolf. And that's got a bit of sticker removal, but also the covers come away a little bit. So, need to have a closer look at that. So, I think when we get to polish it, I'll be able to get a little bit more of that off, but to be honest, I'm going to need to tread extremely carefully, because that would be very easy to make that actually worse, and we don't want that. And this is a nice one with its black cover. This is one that looks like it's almost unread, so that's particularly nice. I bet that's a tough one to find in nice condition. As I said, I upgraded these quite a bit when I had the shop back in the 90s and tried to get the best copies I could. Regan and the High Rollers. This is probably once the worst ones because it's been well read. And it's quite foxed. This would benefit from a little upgrade, considering how nice my other ones are. So I might make a little note of that when I edit this video, put it on my wants list. This is the Sweeney 2. This was the Sweeney movie. Quite violent. Very interesting film. Very much of its time. Yeah, it's not bad at all. Worth a watch if you've never seen it before. Yeah. Excellent. That's all the Sweeney books. And we've got another series I quite like. This was the BBC's answer to the Sweeney, and I've only ever seen season 1 of it. I've never seen season 2, but season 1 is truly excellent. The third episode is particularly good. It's got Katie Manning in from Doctor Who. She was Jo Grant in Doctor Who, and she plays like a heroin addict. It's directed by Douglas Camfield, who directed a lot of the classic Doctor Who's, and it comes recommended. It's a really good one. I forget the name of the title, but it's the third episode in the series of season 1 of Target. It's the one, if you want to show someone what the series is like, that's it. It's really hard hitting, particularly for the Beeb at that time. So I'm surprised it never came out on DVD in its entirety. But there we are. You know, not everyone's a fan of Patrick Moore, are they? Now let's give these a brush down. Put them into 3 piles there. Now once again, I've had some fantastic feedback on the last video, so do go back, have a read of the comments, and there's some great ones there, and I've pinned the best one at the top. Thank you, Roger, for that. Lovely. Right, stack number 3. This is the final sort of stack of books today, and then we'll get into the polishing stage. So this is the really nice movie tie-in edition to Taxi Driver. Very nice painted cover there. Some stills on the back. They really got the likeness of Robert De Niro. Not so much Jodie Foster, but I think that's Jodie rather than Sybil Shepherd's character. But good stuff all the same. A couple of turned over pages there. This is a show I enjoyed back in the day. This is not by any means the best copy of it. It is very much just a reader. It's for Tenko. So it was basically about, set during the war. It was when Singapore gets occupied by the Japanese. All the British, and of which there was many British women and men, get sent to Japanese prisoner of war camps. They go through awful atrocities, and it's their story. So that's a really tatty copy of that one. It used to be everywhere. Then we got Last Tenko. Once again, the TV tie-in copy of this. There was 3 seasons and a couple of specials. Once again, this is going to benefit from a good polish in the top there. This is one of an adaptation of one of the specials. So they're outside after the war now, and the women sort of meet up, the ones that survived. Tenko reunion. Very good. Certainly, my Tenko books are in quite a sorry old state, aren't they? Not watched the series in a long time. Similar thing, the other side of Tenko. So this is, I believe it came out based on the popularity of the TV show, and it's basically the men's side. So in the TV series, they do actually meet up. Once the Japanese start to get pushed back, they basically flee the camps and just leave the prisoners to their own devices. Some of the Japanese soldiers commit harikari because they just can't face defeat. But there's a nearby male camp, and the women and men sort of join up, waiting to be liberated themselves by the liberating forces. So that got that sticker off, but it's very, very tacky. The cover itself is quite beaten up. It's got an $8.95 price sticker on the back, which I am going to attempt to take off. But ironically, this was a British book that ended up going to America. At least it was an export copy with all the, with an $8.95 sticker on. But with a UK price of $1.25. So yeah, very much just released to cash in on the, I wouldn't call it a Tenko craze, but the series was quite big on BBC at the time, and was repeated at least once on the BBC, and it's in its entirety on like the cable channels. And well worth a watch. Okay, making of Kubrick's 2001. Big, thick old book here. And with a massive photo insert, so I'm going to be quite careful with this, because one false move and this sort of book falls to bits on you, but you can see this really nice black and white insert there. Really extravagant book, this one. Quite collectible. I believe it's expensive to find, second hand. See an American one here, first printing like April 1970. It's very, very nice, and I'm very pleased to have it indeed, even though it's not mint, but it's a really nice book. And I love sort of books about making of films. So this was another one, but this is the British version of the making of 2001. Not quite as extravagant as the American one there. It's a different author as well, I believe. Thriller. This was a sort of a little known ITV series by Brian Clemens of Avengers fame. This is sort of, it's a bit like Tales of the Unexpected, really. But this is the TV tie into it. There is another one as well, which I've not got. Both of them quite expensive to find, these. So that's, and this isn't ultimately too bad a copy. So that's one you might want to keep your eyes peeled for. Let's give these a brush off. Lovely. Quite a bit of dust coming off the top of that big thick American making of 2001. I guess it is 52 years old now. It's made quite a difference on that one. And we've got this small batch left now. So we've got some Twilight Zone books, not in any particular order. So this is an American one. Got an awful price label on that one, and it's already been torn underneath. So probably best just to leave that one. But these are stories with a twist. Got a little number inside, so we better... It's like a dealer inventory number by the look of it, so we'll get rid of that one. Okay. This is another American one. I think this probably came out before the Twilight Zone revision. This is possibly the first one, but I don't know for sure. I've never really looked into the sort of history of Twilight Zone paperbacks. I like the show, don't get me wrong, it's good. It's not one I watch a lot, but I watch the odd one now and again. They've been, because they were on film, they've been very, very well preserved. So the copies that are out there are really fantastic. And obviously there's a few really, really great episodes that I go back to again and again. It's going to really benefit from a nice polish. Got a couple more here still. So this is new stories from the Twilight Zone. This is American again, but with a British over stamp sticker, 2 and 6 over in pence over the top. So evidently this was sold over here as an import. These are all 60s. This is May 62, that one. I've had that for literally years, and I've got another one here, which is, maybe this is a reissue, Chilling Stories from Rod Sterling's Twilight Zone. And this one's a little bit later, possibly. All American editions. Yeah, look, this was first published in 65, but this is a 7th printing. It's in 1970, so probably a later jacket. Which is still nice to have, though. I'm not complaining at all. This was a little guide to the Twilight Zone. Jean, Mark and Randy Lofficer, they also wrote the Doctor Who program guide, the very first one. So there's a couple of, once again, turned over pages. I love the, and always did love when these books were sort of being published, picking them up and you could just refer to them as you were watching the show. There's a really, really good, much larger one for Mission Impossible that I just love. I think it's called the Mission Impossible Dossier, which is excellent. This is Uncharted Seas by Dennis Wheatley, filmed as The Lost Continent, which was I'm sure it was a Hammer film. Eric Porter and Susanna Lee. Pretty good stuff. Once again, not the easiest of editions to find, this sort of tie-in one. So worth keeping your eye. I don't think it goes for mega money or anything. I think it is just quite scarce to find, and there are many Hammer collectors out there who like to pick up the tie-ins if they see them. And then the last one today, because we filled another box up with another U, which was Untouchables. So once again, the Fantastic with the Untouchables. I'm pretty sure this is a tie-in. It may not be. It may just be the original book. Yeah, I don't think that is actually a tie-in to any particular edition. Oh, look, it says upon which is based the fabulous, compelling TV show. So I suppose it's a very loose tie-in. But there you go. So let's give these a wipe, a brush rather. So that's at least the books clean. Now we're going to need to give them a polish now, as is traditional, and some of these need a bit more work than others. So I shall clear the decks a little bit and we'll get the polish in action. Okay then, so I said some of these are going to need a little bit more work than others. I've got a brand new fresh cloth, fresh from the washing machine, ready for action. So we shall get one corner damp with polish. Stink the old studio out here. And we'll start off with this one, which is not going to need a lot because the book was from brand new anyway, but it'll take a little bit of time for the cloth to get nicely soaked and impregnated with polish. There we are. Nice easy one to begin with. So if you are new to the channel, I know we've had quite an influx of new subscribers lately, which is fantastic because we're well over 850 subs now, and obviously the target is to get to 1,000, and then I think the channel is just going to sort of grow naturally. It's almost like a little bit of a, I don't know, like a little seal of approval by YouTube. Once you get to 1,000, they know that you're serious, and they tend to promote your videos just a tiny bit more than if you were just starting. It seems very unfair, but it's just how YouTube works. So if you are new to the channel, welcome, and I hope you've been enjoying what you're seeing. I know some people have been with me literally from the start, and they first found out about it on my other channel. That's sort of the main one, but I've so far been able to keep a steady flow of one video a week. However, I have got a little bit of holiday coming up where I literally won't be in the country, so I have to go overseas and chill out for a little bit, which is absolutely fine because everyone needs a break, and I've not had a chance to get abroad for 3 years because of the pandemic. So if it does happen, because it's, you know, these things can get cancelled at the last minute, but if it does happen, chances are, unless I'm hyper organised over the next few weeks, couple of weeks, I'm gonna probably miss 1 week of videos. But don't despair, I've not gone anywhere. It just means that I'm having that holiday, so but I shall do my best. Maybe I'll be able to put up a little mini one instead. That might be quite good. But yeah, do not fear, the channel's not going anywhere, and I do just intend to do no more than one a week. I just don't have the time for that, but one a week is still the schedule for now. This one very much benefiting from the polish. Lots of fingerprints and stuff coming off. Read these a couple of times and they are brilliant fun books. But it is, if you know the TV show, it is almost word for word when they were adapted. So there's nothing new in here, shall we say? But even so, they're fun. Yeah, I got a lot of dirt off that. Look, quite a bit off just, 6 books in effect, But that's how we roll. Sometimes a book like that one there is looks really nice condition, and on the whole it is, but this is almost 50 years old now, so there's bound to be some fingerprints and stuff that have been picked up over that time. It's just inevitable. So that's the sort of thing we're picking up, and I can see where I'm rubbing now, that was an old price sticker which has come off completely, so that's probably when I first picked it up second hand. A really nice copy of that one now. Because I pick old Penguin books up, I do occasionally get sent Penguin catalogues and things like that, and those on those Penguin catalogues, they do occasionally list books which are a little bit beyond what Penguin book collectors collect, which is sort of up to the late sort of 1960s, from the 30s to the 60s, but they do occasionally put 70s and 80s bits in, and I go through those bits with a fine-tooth comb, because there can be some real bargains in there. And but they're not everyone's cup of tea. That's the thing. So, but they would be for me. Lovely. That's okay. Rising down. Yes, Mr. Rugsby. Brilliant Frances de la Tour. She was in that series, wasn't she, as well? And of course, Richard Beckinsale was the other one. A great cast. Don't know if you can hear them, but the wood pigeons in the garden next to me are going for it. But I am filming this one midweek, so it's generally quite quiet. It's right in the middle of the day. It's a pretty good time to film, I think. So I'm just getting my head down and getting it done. While the going is good. As I film this, I'm off to Hay-on-Wye at the weekend, or Bath and then Hay-on-Wye. I've never been to the Home of Books before, so I'm hoping to find quite a few new additions for the collection. Although you never really can tell, it may be a bit of a letdown, I just don't know. But whatever, I'm going to film the experience and visiting Hay-on-Wye, which is the Home of Books. There's like 30 bookshops there, I believe. And although not all of them will be of interest to me, there's bound to be quite a bit that is. So if you're interested in seeing what that's like, do check out my other channel over the next couple of weeks, because I'll have I believe a series of bookshop visits which I'll be recording and posting online, and that will fill up some of the content on my other channel whilst I'm having a break for a week. So hopefully there'll be a few videos coming out, even though I'm not around to film new ones. There'll be some nice store visit ones, which are always good. I love looking around old bookshops, and it's a way for my viewers to look around them and places where they're not going to get a chance to actually visit. Lots have come off this one. Not a great copy of Scrubbers, but I'm not going to complain. It's a kind of scarce book. That's come up pretty nice, actually, all things considered. I'm going to just give it the tiniest of tiny sprays on the front there, because look into it, there is a few slightly deeper bits of polish and that which just need a little bit more attention. But yeah, that's done the trick on the whole. Yeah, there we are. Just sort of around the logo there. Yeah, that's much better. The first Secret Army book, this one's nice condition. It was Jan Francis, wasn't it? The actress Jan Francis. Good series this. I like Secret Army. Of course, it was what Hello Hello, the comedy series, was based on. So if you ever watch Hello Hello, which is a great show, this was the template for Hello Hello, Secret Army. Popping these in piles over there. We'll have a look at these once they've been cleaned in a moment. Also, Secret Army fame was another character. He was called Alan, or Elaine, played by British character actor Ron Pember, who also died recently. He's been in every single series under the sun. He was fairly elderly at the time, but another great actor was Ron Pember. These are cleaning up very, very nicely indeed. I'm very pleased so far with our progress. Of course, the ones that were new to begin with, it's just really sort of very historical sort of surface dust, really. Nothing too serious to worry about. Some of them were showing, like this one was showing a few signs of aging, and you do spot it on black covered books a bit more. They're coming up very nicely indeed. This one, although, you know, on the face of it, it is a nice copy of Scrawl Dogs. The red logo of the movie has faded, so it should be nice and red like that. And look, it would have been there, and it's just faded away. Not unusual. Red is that colour. It's just susceptible to yellowing, so that is what's going to happen. So if you have red jacketed books, well, like all your books really, you should try and keep them out of the sun if possible. Okay. On to a bit of 70s London. Shat it, you know what I mean. Lovely, that's got that one. That wasn't particularly in great shape, that. As I said, it hadn't really been read. It had just been aged sadly from the late 80s. This one has had reference. There we are. Now, I can't do anything with that because, of course, it's just like a cardboard cover, so that's absolutely out of bounds. But something like this, which is much more modern and nice glossy cover, absolutely fine. So let's get them on the pile. I'm aware that we need to try and keep everything in shot. Now we've got that other one there as well. Can't do anything with the old Harold Lloyd. And now we're on to the Sweeney paperbacks. Now these are a little bit more delicate because the actual covers aren't that glossy really. They do require sort of kid gloves really. And I'm very weary about just spraying anything onto them. Let's just move that camera back down a moment. There we are, that should be a little bit more in picture. So yes, I'm just being super careful with these really. I'm giving them a cursory wipe over, and they will improve from that. But I think beyond that, I'm just going to have to sort of like it and lump it really, because the books are too fragile, and they're just not made on decent enough paper to warrant heavy repair, you know, they're just not. But I'm pleased with, you know, like this first one here, a lot of it's coming off to keep it quite a nice copy, you know. But just not putting anything on the books direct, just spraying the actual cloth instead, I think is the way to go with these. And that seems to do the trick. Yeah, the the wood pigeon. I can really hear it. I'm not sure if it's going to come out on the video, but possibly. Yeah, very satisfying giving these a clean, I have to say. Had them so long, and never really cleaned any of my books when I picked them up. I was just so glad to get a copy. So doing these dedicated cleaning sessions now really, it really does make a difference. It's great. There we are. Might have to go out with my gun in a minute and shoot the wood pigeon. No, I'm only kidding. It's all part and parcel of filming in the studio in the middle of your garden. You're going to get the odd bit of wildlife. I think the only way to really do it when it's dead quiet is like do it, in the evenings when people aren't out in their gardens, at least in the winter, and there's less risk of background noise creeping in. But it's part and parcel. I can't do anything about it really. You can just sort of feel the layer of sort of dust and dirt coming off these. It's difficult to explain, but it's definitely there. And sort of in front of my eyes I can see some of these books getting cleaner. Great series of Sweeney, really is. I mean, it's incredibly dated now. You are looking at 50 years ago, but the stories and the level of suspense and tension is really something, and it's not to be underestimated as a really great series, because it is, Now this one had sticker marks in the top corner there, remember that? And it's going to be a difficult one, to be honest, because it's already left a mark where the sticker's been pulled off at some point. I don't think that would have been by me, but you never know, back in the day. But so I've just sort of damped it with a bit of polish for now. And then we'll have a closer look at it in a sec. So the two little spots in question are on the left side there and on the right, but it's a bit on the right there actually. I think it's actually a bit of the original sticker. And it's sort of coming off. I'm not using it with any force, just sort of running my fingernail along it. And a little bit's come off, but I just can't help but feel, if I try and scrape it off, it might just make it worse. The side on the right, I think is okay. That one's going to come off all right. But the bit where it's already torn, unfortunately, if I keep playing and teasing with that, it's just going to make it worse. It's one of those ones that you sort of need to do over a period of time, really. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. But when that dried out, it may be worth another sort of stab at it, But the last thing I want to do, as you can see, it's a really nice run of Sweeney books. I don't want to wreck them. This one's come up absolutely lovely with its black cover. A tiny bit of fading of the red writing or orange writing, or it was red that's turned orange on the spine, but very, very little. So that's absolutely beautiful, top-notch copy, that one. That's really something. Probably the best of the bunch, whereas this one's probably the worst one of my Sweeney collection. Still absolutely readable, of course, but I shall make a little note to put this one onto my, because it lets the other ones down, because the other ones are pretty much so nice. I'll try and pick up another copy of this. I don't think they're too difficult to get because they sold well, so they are around out there. I'm getting through them quite quickly today. I said I fill up like a comic box, which gives me a nice wedge of stuff to go through with you. I don't know how long it's going to take to do the whole lot, but we've hardly even started. Well, we haven't at all started on the hardbacks yet. Some of my hardbacks have already been done though, but there are some other like longer term projects that I've got sort of cooking up in my mind that are going to need doing. Some a bit more full-on repairs, where we're going to come up with replacement spines on vintage paperbacks, valuable ones, things like that. So look out for those in the future, but they're going to take a lot more planning, so I'm not sure. We'll get through the main sort of collection first of all, but those sorts of videos, which I think are going to be really interesting, are on their way. They just require a lot more work to actually make them, Right, again, the last pile here. Taxi driver. yeah, quite keen to rewatch Tenko at some point, because it's historical to begin with. It's not going to show much in the way of signs of aging. It's the story that's important, and I remember really enjoying it. It really was quite a harrowing story they went through, but bit of a sticker residue mark there, which I think I can grab. Yeah, it's coming off all right. None of these are in that great condition, sadly, but it's okay. So, if you could do me one small favour, and that's share these videos out amongst your friends, social media, that sort of thing. If you could put a post on Reddit just saying, has anyone seen these videos, I recommend them, that would do wonders. That's the sort of coverage that can be very, very beneficial to channels such as this. Yeah, sort of word of mouth amongst communities can pay dividends, you know. Loads of muck on that one. It's come out really well. Yes, hopefully you've already subscribed, but if not, do please help the channel out by hitting the subscribe button. You don't have to watch every video I stick out every week, but it would help me get to 1,000 subs. And I say, get that little bit of extra recognition that you need here on YouTube to sort of get your channel out to a wider audience, really, you know, which is all I really want. So yeah, if you're not subscribed already, do hit that subscribe button. Feel free to leave a comment, like so many of our previous viewers. The comments have been just amazing of late. And the key sort of comments that do get left, I always pin a key comment at the top of the comments, just to because it's the most useful one for other viewers. So they are always really, really appreciated. Great information, which helps other collectors who, you know, watch these videos. This one's come out really nice. This black covered thriller paperback. That's really nice, that one. So yeah, so looking ahead to next week, I'm going to do what I believe to be the last part of the TV and film tie-ins, which is, as I say, is going to be the B format books, couple of big little books, a couple of larger Whitman picture books or story books. I've got the Beatles books in there, and I think there's a couple of Survivors books which are sort of in a protective sleeve, which is why they're not with the main sort of run. So there's all of those. There's a Dad's Army little cartoon book, I think, to see as well, like a Piccolo one, which is quite nice. And then I've got this like a movie expert series, which I think will be worth a little revisit. I haven't looked at those in a long time. So I think that's going to be next week's video. Then after that, we've sort of neglected some of the other series, like the Pan and Penguins and that. So I better do at least one more each in that series, a Pan and a Penguin one, just to keep those knocking along. I know the next Penguin one, I think, is we hit the scarce wartime issues, and those are very, very fragile paperbacks, which are going to need quite a lot of careful handling, really, you know, because they're expensive, they're rare, and they're printed on very, very poor quality paper. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed today's video though. Third part of these TV and movie ties. They've definitely gone down very well, these videos, so your support in watching these to the end and giving it a thumbs up is much, much appreciated. Yeah, thank you very, very much for watching today, and I'll see you again in a week's time with another video. Bye.